Good evening. It's been a while. Welcome. It's Beyond the Double Red Doors. You all know the drill. Episode 75. 3/4 of a century. It's a lot. It's a lot. I did the math. A few episodes ago. The average is like between 2 and 3 hours. Something like that. So, 75 episodes between 2 and 3 hours. I'm not sure how you'd calculate how many total hours that is. I think you have to use set theory. You definitely have to use a scientific calculator. Can't use one of those bargain store-bought calculators. It's very difficult, but I think it's somewhere between 150, 225 hours, and that's not including hours and hours of me being bad at various games. I am the worst live streamer. I'm just terrible at it. Not only because I'm not I'm not particularly interested in Twitch games and the way I have stuff set up, and Twitch games don't work so great. By Twitch, I mean like Twitch is in fast response time. But I'm not good at hiding my frustration. I just want to take my controller and go home if things don't work out exactly as I want them to. But there's lots of hours of that crap too. So, there's plenty of shit to choose from. I'm thirsty, so let's do this. Oh, you see one of my lights here. Oh, and you see Candlekeep Mysteries here, which may or may not factor in later. And you see the fact that I have this camera attached via a clamped pole to the table itself. So if I shake the table, it shakes the camera, which is not ideal, And that's not the right camera that I just went to. Anyway, cheers. Still have almost a dozen Starlight Cokes sitting in the fridge that will never be drank, except for if someone comes over and as a joke, I'm like, hey, you want to try something awesome? So I had a lot of stuff happen in the past few weeks. I apologize for not being around. I know how important I am to the world. And I mean that in the most self-deprecating way possible. But just bunch of stuff happened kind of at the same time, and I want to do this when I want to do it. I don't want to feel like I got to do it, but I also understand that reliability is important, and having an idea of whether or not something is happening or not. Those are good things to know. It's annoying to be flaky. I guess I've been flaky. But I haven't been intentionally flaky. If you are like my friends, I don't know how I have any friends left from childhood, just being totally honest. I don't know what monumental amount of effort, of patience it requires on their part to put up with the fact that I just won't answer texts for 6 months. And then I'll answer it after 6 months, no big deal. They'll ask me how I'm doing in February. Come October, I reply, okay. Something like that. I hope. So a couple things tonight, just off the bat. Before I want to check in with you all, you wonderful 20 people, um, because I had seen on the Discord, seemed like a lot of people had been catching this BA5 variant, and I want to check in with as many people as possible. Um, I don't know how how I have managed so far to avoid it. I don't know. I had my mother staying with me for about a week, a couple of weeks ago, and she was traveling with her sister and her sister's husband. Could have said my aunt and uncle, but went another way. And they were driving. They dropped her off here because she didn't need a car. She used mine or whatever. And 2 days after they dropped her off, they called her to tell her that they had, one of them had contracted COVID, and they're in their late 70s, early 80s. And then, of course, the other one contracted COVID. And the question for my mother and me at that point was, well, did they contract it in the window of the 48 hours since they dropped off my mother and were at my house for some time? And yes, I did. They did both try Starlight Coke. And one of them said it tasted like graham crackers and marshmallows. Totally right. Which is not, it's not a bad taste. I don't want to drink it. I just don't want to drink it. Anyway, so they both had COVID. My aunt is a cancer survivor. So, she was high risk, and my uncle has had like major surgery done. He is, partially bionic. I think the most important length of tubing in your body. Check this out. My uncle, avid athlete. I mean, he exercises a lot, but he's more. It's not like he would. I mean, he did run, or he does run. I don't know if he still runs, but he's more of like a sports kind of person, not like a go to the gym and work out sort of person. While jogging at a given point in time, which I'm not revealing yet, had horrible pain in his chest, nausea, vomiting. They took him to the hospital. His aorta had dissected completely. His entire chest was filling with blood. The shepherd's crook. We talk about like biological design, and humans are freaking amazing, but we have a lot of redundant systems, but I guess we've got one system that's really not redundant. The heart, and where does it pump? It immediately pumps. Like, that's a poor design decision. Pumping into a complete U-turn like that, the force of that's just not good design. It's not efficient. It's not effective. Or it's effective, but it seems like it's just asking for trouble in that particular area. Anyway, sorry, I got off track. So his aorta was completely dissected. Like, it was, they had to replace 4 feet of it. So I didn't even know, I don't know how long the aorta is. I didn't realize you had 4 feet of aorta. Maybe it was 3 feet. Maybe it was 3 feet of aorta. 4 feet seems long. Maybe it's 3 feet. Anyway, but including the crook. So it's like Dacron or Teflon or something. He had his entire aorta replaced. And, they told him if he was lucky, he had maybe 5 years on it. And that was a dozen years ago. And the guy doesn't stop. I think when that happened, as would happen with anybody, right? There was this really, um, I say come to Jesus, but it's not really a come to Jesus moment. It's kind of a, I guess it's a come to Jesus moment with coming to terms with your own life and what you've done, what you're doing. And he did, he could have just sulked, which is what I would probably do. Sulk. I would punish the world by like making my own life miserable, more miserable than it needed to be. Somehow that would be like, that would be how I would win. Because self-sabotage is, there's almost an infinite number of ways to self-sabotage right there. Anyway, so he was told if he was lucky 5 years, so he is living or has been living for the past dozen years as if he had very little time left. And as a result, right, he retired. He did all this stuff kind of immediately. But he's just sticking around, doing well. Got COVID, although he was vaxxed and boosted. And apparently was like a cold for him, right? So, I mean, he was vaxxed and boosted, right? So I'm sure that had a significant amount to do with it. Also, just sort of naturally, I think he for his age, really good. Then of course, my aunt got it, and she is a cancer survivor, and so has immune issues. She pulled through. A little more difficult, I think, than him. My mother and I were just kind of sitting there, like, when is the window? And when are we cleared? Never got it. So they must have gotten it. Well, not must have, right? But they probably got it when they went to meet friends in Williamsburg, somewhere. Anyway, so that was one of the things that I've been doing in my time off. Time off, it's not time off. Been working. And then I focused a bit on video making. These are real videos also, not downplaying these things. To wit, observe the hair light. Right? How do I achieve? This is new. I'm back on the Blackmagic camera, by the way, because the Canon camera, which I normally use, or I had been using recently here, which has autofocus, Blackmagic does not, is now back down in the basement where I did a video for the Black Phone movie, as well as a video with Angelica, entitled Misfortune. If you haven't seen either of those, I will plug myself. Go check them out. But the basement worked really well. Like I was pretty happy with the way the basement turned out for the Black Phone. And it was pretty minimal lighting. But wait, before I get to that, so this, see this here? Look at this. I got y'all, don't worry. Shit. Where is it? It's here somewhere. Overlays, in scene. There it is. Look at this. I've got two Aperture MC5s on goosenecks clamped to the ceiling fan. Ooh, if I turned on the ceiling fan, that would be interesting. But that's what's giving the kind of complementary gradient to the top of the head today. I've been informed by objective third parties that I trust that my... oh, you can also see it here, can't you? Going to yellow, yellow going to blue along here. Oh, I think that looks great. I could just like play with that shit all the time, and I do. And like I'll even do stuff like that and then never make a video with it and just be happy. And I'll be like, oh, look at that effect. neat that I could do that. For the longest time, I did that with the, I have an ellipsoidal light, which is, it's not cheap, right? And it has gobos, which are those little round, I don't know what kind of metal they're made out of. Let's say tin. They're not tin. They're heavier than tin. Steel. Let's say steel. With shapes cut out of them, and you can focus the light so that the focal plane is the gobo, and it projects that image. I've had that thing for like 6 months now. I think I used, no more, because I used it in the, I did a video for the game Control. I used it in that. For a little while, I was using it on the background here, but it just was, like, it's a long light. It's probably, I can't make how long it is, as long as my uncle's aorta, perhaps. So it was taking up a lot of space in this room, and I wasn't, I was using it for like a really questionable effect. But I had set it up like several times before. I think I originally wanted it for a Midnight Mass video because I wanted the image of, in the confessional, I wanted the image of the, the screen between the Holy Father and the confessant to be cast upon my face. That's originally what I got it for. When I set it up for that, I realized didn't need the ellipsoidal light because a standard Fresnel light, which I'm sure you all know everything I'm talking about here, standard Fresnel light, if I just kind of focused it around the focal plane, with the focal plane being the screen, it did it. It did it just kind of anyway. So I technically probably, had I tried to do this before getting the light, it may not have gotten the light. But anyway, in retrospect, glad I did because I finally used it for the Black Phone video. I know this is riveting stuff that I'm going over here. Used it for the Black Phone video. Basically went into one of the rooms in my basement. So my basement is like finished, but where the washing machine and dryer are, it's unfinished. So where it is unfinished, and I, like a year or so ago, got a new mattress and was like, oh man, mattresses are a pain in the ass to throw out. I'm just going to leave it in the basement for now. And so I took that and I put it against the wall. I had ordered a grabber mask, and on eBay I got a black phone for like $30. Hung it on that back wall, put the ellipsoidal stage right, pointing across the screen. Had to actually shove it up like right against the wall because I wanted to kind of hit the wall at the sharpest angle possible, so it kind of sprayed or splayed against that wall, revealing the texture of the wall, and also hitting the phone, right? So it was, took a little while. And then I had one other light, which was another aperture. It was not an MC, it was a B7C, which is basically a full RGB LED that they have that is a light bulb, kind of like a Philips Hue or something like that, but more consistent color. You don't have to worry about things like flickering or anything like that. And set that to the faulty light bulb setting, which I kind of regret that. Like, I kind of feel like I didn't need that, and it was kind of gimmicky. You barely see it in the video, I think. But anyway, so that light, the ellipsoidal light, and then I had just another aperture point light, COB light, with a big old light dome pointing straight, close and down, so that when I would get close to the camera, I would illuminate my face. But when I was back against the wall, it would that light had very little effect, if any. And that was surprisingly effective. Again, in retrospect, I wish I'd worked a little harder on getting the light shaped when I was close to the camera. But honestly, I feel like when I had set that up, and then when I sat on the bed and did some test footage of me being on the bed, I was just kind of blown away by the way it looked. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, because it really was kind of just setting this shit up, and it just happened to kind of fall into place. But I was excited by that, so I was just kind of like, I don't really give a fuck about how I look when I'm up in the camera, which is the majority of the video. I just want to be able to get that image of me against the back wall. And it looked good. I used the black shirt from the Midnight Mass video and the red mock turtleneck that I used for a Cosmos video I did. Flatland video I did like maybe 6 years ago now. Hadn't worn that thing since then, but it just so happens if you collect enough costumey crap and keep it long enough, someone will create an IP for you to take advantage of, where you can use some stuff that maybe you already have. And that's what happened from the video, which is fascinating. I know. It felt serendipitous. And then used that light again for the Misfortune video with Angelica. One of these lights went out like in the middle of that video, but she was very quick in creating a funny sort of diegetic reason why that light might go out. Me, I was just annoyed. I was like, damn it, fucking light. It said it had a full battery. It was supposed to last 3 hours. That was not 3 hours. I think I just had not, I think it didn't have a full battery when I put it up there. Isn't that fascinating? So fascinating. There's some stuff going on with like Roe v. Wade and stuff too, but more interested in talking about lights. But it's been made apparent to me that like my obsession with this kind of thing, is not exactly normal. I'm okay with that. Who wants to be normal? I mean, it'd be one thing if the stakes were if there were any stakes at all. But it's really just like the satisfaction of seeing how things come together that I don't plan, or like happy accidents, stuff like that. And would I be as happy doing it for other people? I think I would. I'd be happier. I think that's been my problem. It's one of my problems with not being prolific, is I sometimes just don't really enjoy making the content. I just want to set it up and be like, okay, I got it to look right, or I got it to look a way that I'm happy with. I don't want to actually do the video now. And that I've actually done that a few times. I've gotten these fairly elaborate setups. I wanted to do a Dead Ringers video. Spent a while getting that set up and getting those costumes ready. Got like a still image and shared it. And once I shared it, it was like the thrill was gone. I already completed the objective of getting the thing to look the way I wanted it to look. There's really no more motivation within me to actually finish the video itself. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Anyway, I want to check with people. I haven't seen you all in a while, and I want to, like I said, I noticed in Discord that some people had gotten COVID. I saw Twitter, Carolyn got it yesterday or the day before or something. I can't go all the way back up to the top. Yeah, Katharina got it and is feeling better. So I don't have to scroll. Let me say hi to everybody, and then we can go over that. Butterfly Composer, Warp Raven, Colorful Dreams, Elxie M. Oh, well, thank you, Warp Raven. Yeah, my hair looks darker. Must be a trick of the light. A trick of the the way the light is reflecting off the hair that has just for men in it. Olivia, hi. That's probably the best way. From my point of view, it's certainly the best way to do it. Hope your work goes well. Ava, Pink Moon. Kate, I think I know Kate, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh no, thank you, Warp Raven. I am chilled out. So very chilled. Oh, so Katarina, you're still experiencing it. That sucks. No monkeypox with anyone, I hope. Yeah, it's so like this is just a thing now. Just another thing that's going to kill a percentage of us, which is fucking depressing. But although, you know, the naysayers and the sort of people who are all had a very negative outlook on this idea of herd immunity leading to total eradication. No, this is another thing we're going to have to take boosters for forever. Jeff. See, I'm having that feeling now. Like, not thinking I'm Neo, but thinking that, like, you know, well, I am blood type O, which I know that there's one. I think they say that if you're blood type O, for some reason, the spike protein has more trouble latching on. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't want to spread misinformation. Lexi, so you have it too? You and Jeff, but Jeff didn't have it? I don't know how that's possible. Like, that seems so hard. Well, you gotta... Life can suck, right? If you let everything get to you, then you're not gonna last long. Amy, you have a cat named Bubba. Also, hi, Amy. Hi, Nico. Wow. I would love to know the physiological, like, sort of history, the phylogeny. Phylogeny? No, the ontogeny of, like, how that came to be. Because I'm sure it made sense. Like, at one point it made sense, and then we became bipeds, and then it didn't make sense, right? Or whatever. It's interesting. Like our eyes, right? Our eyes are really backwards from the way they should be. They'd be much more sensitive if the light-sensitive cells were on the other side. As I think octopi have. Did I say hi to Ava? I think I did. Hi, Ava. Let me get down here so I can see. All right, if I didn't say hi to you, I apologize. And if you got COVID and I have not noticed it yet, shout at me. Hey, Q, it's good. Oh, I like your profile pic, Q. I think I noticed it on Twitter as well. Very awesome. Hi, Olivia. How are you doing? So I am... Look, I've got to watch The Boys again. Like, I watched... I think I sort of, like, rush watched season 1. Because there's a villain, I think, in season 1 that a few people were like, oh, maybe you could be this villain. So I wanted to see if that was the case. I ended up not being quite that intrigued. But Homelander to me is just such. Well, one, I like Garth Ennis, right? Like I've been a fan of Garth Ennis since I was a teenager, right? When he was doing Preacher. Never was able to get into the TV show Preacher, but was into those comics when I was young. And Soldier Boy is, I'm sorry, Homelander is just, what a great character that is. So I've been watching enough YouTube clips of Homelander being the psychotic madman that he is to want to kind of get back into The Boys. Like, not in a, I don't really want to get into it in a way that like I'm watching it to see if I can do a role play of something. I want to know what it's all about from start to finish, right? And a Homelander, like just the anti-Captain America, that's just brilliant, or the anti-Superman. Like what they tried to do with Brightburn, but man, that was so bad. That movie was so bad. Did anybody here see Brightburn? It's awful. The premise was interesting. The name is good. Maybe not great, but it's a good name. Terrible, terrible, terrible movie. Carolyn, hey, how are you doing? Hope you're feeling a little better. Actually, I think you're not, though. I think you're feeling awful right now. Whoa, Butterfly Composer. They believe this is temperature related? I heard something like runways were melting. I mean, it's not just, people. This happened all the time when I was younger, right? When it was sort of like we living in Miami would hear about what they were calling hot temperatures up north, and we'd be like, that's nothing. Why are you complaining? It's not about, it is about the temperature, but it's also like, what's the infrastructure that your particular area has in place to deal with temperatures like that? Because it's very easy in Florida, obviously they have every house, very few rugs. Florida, a lot of tile. Everybody has like mega central heating, backup generators, or central cooling heating, backup generators, central cooling. As long as you can get from your house to the car, and from your car into another house, you can live in Miami and be pretty cool most of the time. There's lots of pools. Everybody's got a pool. The ocean's right there. There are a lot of mitigating factors that don't exist for other places. And it seems like, obviously, that's a lot of the problem with the UK. I was going to clip it and play it, but no point really. But there was a video I saw that someone had just posted that was showing a fake newscast from Don't Look Up immediately before a real newscast. It was a news station in the UK where basically there was a meteorologist who was kind of talking about, he was on location somewhere. I don't know where. Brighton, maybe? I don't know. Talking about how horrible it was, how difficult it was. And cutting back to the anchor person who was like, is it really that bad? It seems like you meteorologists are kind of like just, the sky is falling, and why don't we keep it light? Which is like almost identical to the dialogue that was in this particular clip from Don't Look Up. When life imitates art. Hey, Lisa S., how are you doing? That's just terrible. I'm glad that you don't have it anymore and are out of quarantine. That's great. This is true, Jeff. Oh my God. Amy. Yeah, throw out 3 cats. I guess that's the upper. Well, when I was growing up, we had more cats than that, but that was not intentional. Yes, everybody. What is everyone's blood type and social security number? Let me know. Very possible. There you go. All right, just kind of reading through here. Drinking all the fluids. Wait, Warp Raven, are you drinking the fluids for the heat wave, or do you have COVID? I don't know. What's going on? That's one of the characters. Yeah, so obviously, like, I'm familiar with some of the other characters from the 7. It's another one that's interesting. But man, just the way they did the things that they did for Homelander, like they made it obvious that his hair is bleached, right? They made his eyes like too blue, so you can tell that they're fake. He's got like a little bit of extra caked makeup on. His teeth are too white, right? Like in a way that, like they make, and there's a way to do this to make the person look as perfect as possible. And there's a way to do this where it gets you into the uncanny valley. And they kind of pushed Homelander into the uncanny valley. His muscle shirt is pretty clearly, it's pretty clear that they designed it so that, like, okay, yeah, we want to make it look like these are fake muscles on a guy who, is in shape but doesn't have muscles like this. It just seems like they really kind of thought through how to make this person completely abhorrent in a bunch of sort of insidious ways, which I love. That's Butcher Boy, right? I have to get back and know it. Well, oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I really did not like it, but I had expectations for it, I think. I'm glad you're feeling better, Carolyn. At least on the upswing. I don't remember what you're referring to now, Lexi. I'm sorry. This is the problem. I got to go down to the bottom because otherwise I will. Oh, wait, you're talking about the cold places in Miami, maybe? Why is Pivy drawing attention to themselves? What's up? What is the Black Noir joke? I don't know what is this a plot joke or is this a joke from the name? I'm not sure. What is by Guillermo del Toro? What's going on here? All right, I got to get back. I got to get down to the bottom. Oh, the exploding houses. Okay. He's mute. Okay. Well, I'm gonna watch. I'll probably just start over because honestly, like if you ask me anything from season 1, even though like I said, I watched it some time ago. I watched it in a way that was not conducive to absorbing any nuance. In fact, I remember very little of it. All right. There's some stuff I wanted to get into tonight, so I'm going to jump right into it. And it's like media-based, which is great. Oh, wait, I want to finish what I did during my little hiatus. I don't really want to call it that, but I guess a little hiatus is kind of what it was. I was looking for a new place at one point. That ended up not happening. I'm staying where I am for another year. Watched Top Gun Maverick. Yes, I watched Top Gun Maverick. Starring Tom Cruise and Miles Teller. And John Hamm, who, sorry, totally miscast. No reason at all for John Hamm to be in that role. Excuse me. Val Kilmer. They incorporated him in some interesting ways. Like they had him texting Maverick, which I thought was an interesting way to keep him more involved in the story than he actually was. My opinion on Top Gun Maverick is Tom Cruise was the best actor in that movie. Well, no. Miles Teller was probably the best actor in that movie. But you take the two of them out, and it felt like a high school production. Both the acting ability of the people who were in the movie and the dialogue that they were forced to deliver was horrible. I guess I liked Hangman a bit, but that took me a while. But you're not supposed to like Hangman, right? He's sort of the Iceman of this. But he's Hangman, not Iceman. I gotta say, right, I said this at the time, very few movies that I've watched have assumed that are so out there, like assuming their audience is just stone stupid. Like just unable to connect the dots between any callbacks, whether even if it's a callback within the movie, right, or like telegraphing these story points in the most overblown, sort of ridiculous ways that leave nothing to interpretation or give you any sort of hope of there being something different happening in the movie. I'm right at the beginning of the movie, maybe in the first. Well, so the first 30 minutes of the movie are the worst. I almost wanted to walk out. And it gets better. Right, the end is definitely the high point. First 30 minutes, like meeting this new cadre of Top Gun pilots was bad because they're bad. Like, there's one named Bob. He's like the nerd. Right? Totally forgettable archetypes. Played poorly. So it was like sort of misfiring on all fronts. And then they're zeroing in on this base they got to fly into. It's very eerily like the Death Star mission, right? There's a thin little canyon they got to fly through, and then there's a little tiny port they got to shoot 2 bombs into, right? Or one bomb to blow the protective shielding, and then one to actually blow the thing up. And when they're looking at this base, they're like, of this country, this unnamed country whose logo is a sort of menacing-looking red bird. And when you do see their pilots, obviously totally covered, you can't tell anything about who they're the kind of Star Warsy. Right? But I understand they didn't want to point any fingers at like who this was. Right? I'd seen some things where they even like blurred out the was it the South Korea patch that was on Maverick's jacket, because they kept everything exactly the same, which made some things odd, because like, who is Jennifer Connelly? What happened to Kelly McGillis? And Meg Ryan, they like, what'd they do to her? She died. Like one line. It was amazing to me that like Miles Teller's character was so affected by his father's death. His mom's death, he mentioned it once, and that was it. But dude, and I so close to every time, the number of times that they would be like, because in the first movie, when they're flying together, Maverick and Goose, Tom Cruise would say, "Talk to me, Goose." So in the second movie, even though Goose is dead, occasionally, in a moment of contemplation, Tom Cruise will say, "Talk to me, Goose." And I so wanted to like quack out loud every time he did that. Just to ruin they're trying for that pathos. They're really, really reaching for it. I totally missed what I was going for here. Like an example, this is the very first time when they're scanning the space of this unknown country that is, I don't know, vaguely Russian, maybe. I don't know. They mention like very, very, it's not hidden. It's like they even here's the dialogue is, and maybe I'm not getting this exactly right, but like they even have some of those old F-14s there at that base. Just like the ones you used to fly, Maverick. That's crazy. Those hunks of junk. It's like, okay, I get it. He's going to end up having to fly that plane. So that, like, right at the start of the movie. And you have John Hamm, like, playing the kind of frustrated admiral who has to deal with Maverick's antics. But he's just miscast. Like, John Hamm's a funny guy. And they weren't going for Hammy, like, in the movie in other ways. But John Hamm... I didn't even mean to make that pun, but John Hamm seems hammy in that role, where he's just kind of like, Maverick, why you? Just not. It didn't fit him. Okay, and it was distracting because it's John Hamm, and John Hamm is distracting. Anyway, there are all kinds of MacGuffins, right? There's a time limit that they need to get to the base in a certain time, and they gotta, Rooster is, he's got a little bit of PTSD, or what they're calling, I don't even know if they refer to it as PTSD, because his dad died, so he's a little slow to act, but he's gotta be quick. And there are so many instances where, like, and when they're talking about Iceman, right, they have to refer to him as Iceman, and then in the same sort of block of dialogue, they'll have to be like, the guy that beat you at Top Gun, you remember Iceman. Like they couldn't just say his name, and he's like the commander. And yet, when Maverick goes to see Iceman, so I've told this story before, but when Maverick goes to see Iceman, it was touching. Val Kilmer cannot. My understanding is he cannot speak, and he had a few lines in the movie. He was mostly communicating via computer screen. I think his son did those. I remember watching the Val documentary, and his son sounds so much like him. It's eerie. But yeah, Val Kilmer's a great actor. So they were able, I think, to do that in a way that was not super cheesy, I guess. But the rest of the movie was, dumpster fire. But the great part of that movie, the action scenes are pretty amazing. And I'm not one for action scenes. I do think, like, yeah, they did all this stuff, like, for real. They flew all these, like, jets, and a lot of the footage was done for real. Like, the way that, like, the camera is put here, right? You're seeing a static cockpit and very little outside of that cockpit. Like, I feel like the return they got on that was pretty low, because it's one of those cases where it's just like, yeah, that's an easy CGI, And then we cut to the wide shots of the planes. Someone else is flying them then, which I'm sure they did, right, sometimes. I agree with this, Carolyn. Right, because in that scene, like, it just kind of, it holds on a close-up of Tom with Val Kilmer sort of out of focus, like looking towards him in that kind of a two-shot. And there's a lot that you might be as like, well, this is kind of like exposition, but he's able to hold your attention. I mean, he's good at. Tom Cruise is a pretty good actor in the right circumstance, right? Well, but yeah, I mean, in this case, the plot is the action scene, right? Um, they have to destroy this base, and there's all these, you know, everything's against them. They couldn't even like let. It was one of those movies where it's like even like okay, they pick the people to go, and then the other people are in reserves on the aircraft carrier, and one of the people was really really cocky, is Hangman, and he's not picked to go, but he's in a plane, he's on the deck, and they show him, they keep showing him like kind of like he's antsy, and you know that there's gonna be a Deus Ex Machina moment where, okay, Hangman took off and came and saved the day. It was also amazing to me that like, I'm sorry that I'm giving some spoilers here, but it's not really. There's nothing to spoil. The thrill of this movie is not like the particular events that happen. It's certainly not the dialogue, and for most of the people in the movie, it's not the acting. It's the fact that the fluff is so well done. But they're high-speed jets flying and crashing, separate people flying and crashing, and then Tom Cruise is one of those people, and Miles Teller is another one of those people. Separate planes, dogfighting, crashing, separate places. Tom Cruise just runs to where Miles Teller was. It could have been miles away. It was very bizarre. And then they run to the base. It was just like everything was happening on. It was like one of those 360 camera Tiny Planet things where it's just like, or any video game that's open world, and then you get to like, obviously here are the areas where they spent the money because everything is really dense, and it's essentially like imagine if like everything interesting in the world was compressed into space, 30 square miles, something like that. But I could have bought like some of that, but they literally like they show when Tom Cruise is running to where Miles Teller is, they show it. They show him running like for some time. I don't want to say like a minute does not sound like a long time, but they show him running for a really long time to where it's just like, man, that should have just been like a cut or a fade to black or something like that. And as for like the callbacks, they're just sort of like, man, like you don't have to show me the scene that you're talking about from Top Gun 1 when you're referencing the scene. You don't have to be like, do you remember that time back when you were in Top Gun 35 years ago? Although they don't, Top Gun the school, not Top Gun the movie, where you did this thing. Yeah, I remember that time. Fade to like the scene in Top Gun of that thing happening that they just described. Rooster happens to play the exact same song on the piano, Great Balls of Fire. Although I guess that makes sense because he was sitting on the piano. I guess that would get into his subconscious maybe, but it's just like one of those things. There's just a lot of coincidences, a lot of, but whatever. It's a theme park movie, right? It's a joyride. Tom Cruise recorded a little personal message at the beginning of the film. I don't know why, but he was just like, give me a minute at the start of the film to just kind of say how important this project is to me. Okay, he can do whatever he wants. It's Tom Cruise. So yeah, I watched Top Gun Maverick. I do think, if you're going to see that movie, it's better to see it in the movie theater. And at the end of it, I enjoyed it. It did what it was supposed to do. I felt the first time I saw, it was a little surreal for me because I saw the first Top Gun in a movie theater. Maybe some of you could do the math there. 49. Top Gun came out in 1987. I was 14 or 15 years old. I want to say I was 14. Top Gun. I'd seen the ad for Top Gun. Looked like a great action movie. Asked my mom to take me to see it. Oh man, I should have seen it with her. That would have made the circle complete. So let's say I was 14 years old, watching Top Gun with my mother. And if you've seen Top Gun, you're aware that there's like a 20-minute love-making scene set to... Actually, it's not that long. Like, I rewatched it fairly recently before going to see Top Gun 2. Not called Top Gun 2. And it's actually not that long a scene. Felt like fucking forever. Sitting next to my mom, like sinking down in my seat, like, God, this fucking... I don't need to see it. I don't want to... This is the most embarrassing moment of my life. It's terrible. I thought they were just going to be fighting, but they're fucking... And it wasn't... I mean, it was like really kind of schmaltzy 80s. You know, I had to take my breath away over it. There's a lot of open mouths focused on like lips and tongues and very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. They had a kind of similar scene with Jennifer Connelly, and they definitely tried to mirror sort of the structure of the first movie in a way that to me kind of seemed like was actually kind of neat. Like it was almost like it was a remake. Like it was like they were looking at this in two ways: a sequel and a remake, because so much of it really was like about the kind of circle. It's very meta. Maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for. Maybe they really kind of thought this through, and they're like, this is not so much a sequel to this movie as it is a reimagining of it, but we're going to include the canon of the movie itself in its own reimagining. Tom Cruise, and we all know, like, Tom Cruise like lives the life that he shows you on screen. Right? Like, there's no off button for him. So, wow, that actually would be really, really cool. Thinking about it like that, all of a sudden it takes on some gravitas that it didn't have before. A self-aware remake. It doesn't change the fact that the dialogue still sucked. I mean, it had equivalent scenes in lots of ways, right? And not just the gunfighting, right? And there's a equivalent to the volleyball scene, except they were playing football. Had the equivalent scene standing on the carrier, kind of looking out onto the water. It had an equivalent ejection scene. Hangman, Iceman, they're the same. They were the same person. Some of the same archetypes. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder how much of that was intentional now. It's starting to dawn on me that maybe I've given short shrift to Top Gun Maverick by just saying that it is a good action movie. I do think it's a good action movie. But with this added layer, if that layer was actually meant to be there, which of course it had to be, then it is kind of genius. And then add on to that meta layer, the meta layer that I went to see it when I was young. There were other parallels going on for me. Damn. Well, I can't wait for the third one. I'm hoping they wait exactly as long. And when I'm 84 years old, I get to go see Top Gun 3, Rooster. Where Rooster has to remember. Well, the thing is, there wasn't really a tragedy in Top Gun 2. The tragedy of Top Gun 2 was Top Gun 1, or events that happened in Top Gun 1. So they made a Top Gun 3. They wouldn't really have a tragedy to well, Iceman. Sorry. This is not true, Lexi. Tom Cruise will not be dead in 35 years. No chance. No chance. He's going to hit 100. And he'll hit 100 and he'll look 86. It's going to be amazing. So many... I don't know how much of him is still real now. This is very possible. He might have been deep faked in this. No way to really know. Well, you don't need to see it to see the second one if you want, because, like I said, they really hit you over the head with everything that they're talking about. Oh, you'd have to be human. Hey, Voice Quells. Good to see you. Yeah, exactly. What sort of resources do you think, like behind the scenes, is Tom Cruise putting into his own longevity? I'll tell you what, he's doing whatever he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. I'm not claiming to know what he's doing. He's doing a better job than this guy. This is Elon Musk. And I took this photo from The Guardian. And what struck me about this photo, well, there's a few things. But one was the caption that The Guardian gave to it. He slicked his wet tresses back from his handsome face. When I look at this picture, this is not what I'm not thinking about his handsome face or his wet tresses, which also, by the way, those tresses aren't actually real. I'm not one to body shame anyone, but it just seems like there's something wrong with just the proportions I'm seeing there. That seems very barrel. I'm not trying to body shame him. Well, I guess I am, and that's not good. I guess the reason that I bring it up is because it seems to me like it makes me wonder if that is something that he did, which I don't even know what it would be. I don't like him as a person. I mean, there are many things about him I don't like. Well, yeah, it's not. I'm not a fan of body shaming, but I did like. I'm sorry, this image struck me as bizarre. But we can move on. I got in Twitter beef with a couple of people. Shocking. Someone in the ASMR community, this piece of shit. This guy spent like 2 weeks, somewhere around then, was just posting shit like this, like posting sort of manosphere, Jordan Peterson-y, Cobra Tate kind of things. And this was one of them, right? He did this for a while, and then, well, let's do it in order here. So yeah, pronouns in your bio is a red flag. Okay. Seems like a pretty stupid take. People were not having it. A lot of people were taking him to task. You see there, Nebula is taking him to task. Whispers Audio is taking him to task. Few people. I could not keep my mouth shut. Of course, you see Yolama ASMR here. And even his response to that, right? Like, Yolama added their pronouns because people started to use they, them for them because she doesn't want people using they, them. I honestly, like, if somebody wants me to use she, her, and I use they, them, that's the one thing, that's the one slip that I'm like, well, I won't go into it. But his response here, good reason you had to correct dumb people. If people genuinely spend time worrying about their pronouns or how people perceive them, that's a red flag for me. Do something cool instead. Like, don't worry about how people want to be treated, right? Like, I don't understand really the rationale here, because what people are doing, first of all, if you put your pronouns in your bio, it's just like a helpful thing. You're not forcing anyone to do anything. They can misgender you if they want. They can do whatever they want with that information. I mean, it's like saying, like, why put your name? It's a useful additional piece of information about somebody that makes it easier when you're speaking to them to identify them the way that they want to be identified. And a couple of people who seem to be on TD Tingles' side. I don't know who the hell this is. Durgan Noah. Especially if you are obviously a biological dude using he, him, or gal using she, her. It's possibly the most belittling thing to the intelligence of the populace these days, because it's so utterly basic to the point of where you know before you even consciously state the fact. So, my response is here. You can read it if you like. But really, it was them all, like, sort of getting together on this and reinforcing each other's bad takes. If I had just seen him saying pronouns in bio as a red flag, I probably just would have blocked him. But seeing this reinforcement machine here, I had to speak up. And what happened after that? Let's see. Appreciate the good intentions. Sleeping Artist weighed in on it as well. Talking about the puberty blockers and mastectomies, doing permatension. These are the talking point, like the talking points that you hear. I mean, they're exactly what Jordan Peterson's talking points are. Exactly. And so I had to say that. So yeah, I'm being a little trolly here, and mentioned that he spouted the Peterson talking points like a good little parrot. So the response here that I thought was funny was, I accused him of spouting Peterson's talking points. He says that he wasn't, nothing was said that I've ever heard Peterson said, and that everything I said was parroted. Then he says, then I just say, no, you, right? Because at this point, I'm just already kind of checked out. But then he goes to quote Jordan Peterson. He goes to quote Jordan Peterson, like, immediately afterwards. I don't know, man. Seems like a giveaway to me. And yeah, I added nothing of value to the conversation. Okay. Yep. Other than that, all this was trite slogans and attacks on Jordan Peterson, which I think is adding value to the conversation. I think like any conversation could probably have its value upped by an order or so if you attack Jordan Peterson. So I disagree with that. Anyway, fuck those people. What else? Oh, it struck me the other day, and by the other day I mean like maybe a week or two ago. How, like, when you think about like the most sort of nefarious institutions in the world, depending on who you are, like when you're trying to think about the most nefarious institutions of the world, maybe the CIA is on your list of one of the most nefarious institutions in the world. And when you think about like how they look, right? Like it's hard to imagine like it's hard to imagine a company, or sorry, it's not a company, say an institution, without kind of at the same time giving it some sort of animus via like thinking about how it appears in the world, right? For me anyway. And I mean, I've lived here for a while now, and I've driven past this I don't know how many times, hundreds of times. But it just kind of occurred to me that the main entrance to the CIA looks like this. It's in the middle of a bunch of suburbs. There's a church right next to it. And it looks just like another entrance into a suburb. It's got like a little guardhouse. It is the most unassuming sort of hiding in plain sight kind of thing you can imagine. The opposite of like the FBI building in DC. Although I've never actually taken the turn in Quantico to see what the building that's not in DC is like. But I think you get my point here. Is like it's very, apart from this sign, if that sign was not there, you would think this was like just an entrance to a gated community. And like not even a particularly, I mean, yeah, it's affluent, right? But nothing special about it. But it's the fucking, this is when if you turn down that street, you are in the main campus of the CIA, where some of the most terrible freaking things have been dreamt up and executed, and people have been, hundreds of people sent to their death from there. Like I'm talking about their own people. Like they've killed, who knows how many people they've killed that aren't, in their brood, but young, fresh out of college CIA agents essentially sent to die. This might be true, probably. I don't know. But this is very much, it is very much like the cup is the most unassuming cup. Let's not call any attention to ourselves at all. So yeah, I've been driving past that all the time. Oh, definitely. Absolutely. I guarantee you that happens. This is, I'm telling you, like on the other side of the street, and then on either side of this area, it's just suburbs. There's like a small, I think, Lutheran church. Like if you back, I'm coming this way down the street, back on the same side of the street as the CIA campus. It's less assuming than a college. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I've like been seeing it over and over again and never really sort of took note of it. So just goes to show you. I don't really know what that shows, but I think it's got to show something. And then here, this is my basement. This is a phone. This is a picture taken with my phone. You can see like how much work goes into the grading, because this is not what the final image looked like at all. And I did make some changes from this. This was kind of early on. And that's the faulty bulb hanging there in the side. Literally spray painted. I guess you can't really tell. Well, I mean, this might have been before I did it. I spray painted that bed, that mattress, with brown spray paint. Got some on the walls too, to just kind of get a little more mucky looking. And this is like sort of the other side of that area. Wait, where is this? Yeah. Wait, no, this is the same room. Why did I put this picture here? This is the same room before. This is just a close-up of the same wall. So there's a bunch of stuff to one side there. There's a window over here. Like I said, my basement is finished, and there's really like 3 rooms in it. There's this room, which is where the washer and dryer is. There's sort of the main room, which is supposed to be like a game room. You know, it's a big, long room. And there's one bedroom off to the side that's not really a bedroom. But anyway, thought I would share that. It was interesting to me. Tried some new places to eat with my mom while she was in town. Kind of showed her around. Vietnamese place. Had an excellent blue waffle. I informed my mom that, you know, she could probably find some places where she lives to get this waffle again. All she needed to do was do a Google image search, or Google search for blue waffle. I don't know. I don't think that she did it, because I didn't hear back from her on that. But it actually was really good. But honestly, just tasted like a waffle. And since she came up, I asked her to like bring pictures, and she brought a bunch of pictures, but there's a picture of me as a baby, and I look ridiculous. Like this. Look at that child. What is going on with that child? There's something wrong. This is worse than Elon Musk. I don't know what's going on here. Like, I had to be, just a couple months old there. Look at that chin. Look at that overbite. My eyes are, I guess the color of my eyes are pretty much the same. But man, my parents must not have been happy. I'm sure they were ecstatic, but probably in the back of their mind they were a little bit like, hope he's okay. And this is my mom and dad. There you go. Another one. Yeah. It's my dad with Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff going on.
Like, I don't know if that thing that they just did with the COVID is like panned out or not, but if it did, that's like somebody should probably be looking into that.
All right. And the Zoom is where I haven't done this in a while. Zoom is working. Very excited to be back on. Yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking. Like, the boy is not right. I don't know who John Green is. They were fancy. Super fancy. My uncle was a forensic psychiatrist for the CIA. He was never able to tell me what he did. Before he died, I did get a couple of things from his office, some of which are in the background right there. But when you think about what a forensic psychiatrist might do for the CIA, it doesn't seem good. Doesn't you look up the definition of forensic psychiatrist? Let's see. A medical doctor trained in law and mental health. Well, he was a psychiatrist, but doing that for the CIA, right? What might that entail? Spent a lot of time in jails, probably. Q. I knew about this, but I wasn't 100% sure if you didn't want it brought up or whatever. So I didn't say anything. But yeah, this is exciting. Oh, Warp Raven, have a good evening. I hope the opening goes well. Yeah, I remember talking about it, and we were talking about it, and it seemed a long time away, but it was probably exactly the amount of time that we had said it was. Are you able to say, I know there were some insurance things going on. You weren't sure if you were going to be able to get insurance to cover it. I wonder if... Oh, you're excited to get it over with? That is true. Voice Quills has freaking exploded. It is nuts. Well deserved, obviously. You never know what life is going to throw at you, right? Night, Elxie. Oh, you got to pay out of pocket for all of it? Fuck. That sucks. Do you have an idea of recovery time, to sort of basic, will you be able to just kind of resume basic work in a week later? Oh, Voice Quills. Just take the compliments. Man, I can hear the fan. It's really quite loud. It's annoying me here. 3 weeks, Q. Wow. I hope it's not too painful. It always seems like in situations like this, or it has been, I don't have exact corollaries, but it's always I'm afraid of the thing. The thing ends up not being all that bad, but then it's man, I'm uncomfortable for a long time afterwards. Whether it's, I'm an idiot, man. What am I doing? I'm comparing getting my wisdom teeth removed with top surgery. But Anyway, Q, I hope it goes well. I hope that the recovery is not like too crappy, because I can't imagine, like, I mean, I don't know exactly what happens, but I'm imagining that's going to be painful to move. And I mean, that's just like a, kind of an area that's just like, I mean, you breathe and you're moving. Oh, KJ, what a bummer. Is this the same place you'd been at for a while that you've called from? Look at this is Butterfly Composer fishing to get voice quills to read the next story. Like, you're fishing here. You want voice quills to say, "Oh, I'll read your story." Oh, and fell for it. You fell for it. See? You fell for it. Good job, Butterfly Composer. All right, good night, Jeff. That's good. I'm happy for you, Q. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this. I need to figure out. I don't even want to talk about it because I've said that I'm going to figure it out a bunch of times, but I'm just not. I'm just not. I guess I'm just not feeling it. And I want to feel it. I want to get to a point where I can feel it. Great. Oh, this is a What We Do in the Shadows joke. I get it. I've not watched any of the new seasons of What We Do in the Shadows. The new season, What We Do in the Shadows. It better be good. Taika Waititi seems to be getting some crap lately. Not that he has anything to do with What We Do in the Shadows anymore. Or does he? I think he's probably directed a few of them. Well, you know, has not officially begun in any way yet, so I hope people are not. Well, this is. Y'all shouldn't have. There's nothing official about it at all. Just we're talking about. Please do, Q. Yeah. If you, I mean, when you, as you can. Yeah, I remember the ending of last season was, I was wondering, like, what the hell are they going to do with this? How far are they going to take this before he reverts back to just Colin Robinson? Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, well, I am going to wrap it up and just kind of make this a short evening. I appreciate y'all's time and listening to my rambling. And I had fun. And hopefully y'all will join next week. Things might get on more of a kind of regular cadence, and I think maybe gonna get more guest appearances. We'll see what goes on there, but we'll find out. But writing competition, please, yeah. There's nothing is set in stone. I don't want to disappoint people or have them like working on something that will end up not being useful or whatever. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good night, and I will see you all soon. And take care. And good luck with the surgery queue. And go watch Top Gun 2. Or don't. Maybe don't. I don't know. Maybe you could. I didn't even, I did cut to this once. Why, it's still going strong. Didn't get to Candlekeep Mysteries. Oh well. next time.